into freedom after they took a 14-day journey that really took them 40 years. This is who things got turned over to. This became the authority. It was no longer Moses. Moses wasn't allowed to go into the promised land. But if you read that journey, coming into Exodus and just keep going a little bit, man, I think we're a lot like the Israelites. We moan, groan, complain. Things don't go our way. We get some kind of way about it, some kind of feeling about it. Then what do we call it? Huh? A lot of times we call it church hurt. Man, grow up. There are going to be people in this world that hurt your feelings. Are you focused on Jesus? If the answer is no, you're going to get to have the excuse of church hurt. But if they hurt your feelings and they were being truthful and loving and representing Christ and calling you out, the only person you got to be hurt at yourself, right? Well, we're going to talk about some of that grumbling today, and really think about how these people, the Israelites, how we're just like them. And scripture today, we're going to be in Hebrews 11:30. I'm going to talk a little bit about Exodus. We're going to read Deuteronomy 31, 7 and 8, Joshua 10, 12 through 14. There's a lot. There's a lot of reading that went into compiling these notes. But here's our bottom line for today. When faith circles our walls, they come tumbling down. When faith circles our walls, they come tumbling down. So are you waiting for God to act while you're busy grumbling? Are you waiting for God to act while you are busy grumbling? How many of us would be honest this morning and say, man, we grumble a lot? Yeah? So in that grumbling, are you waiting for God to move? Are you waiting for him to do something? Or is he asking you to do something, and that's part of your grumbling? Are you waiting for God to act while you're busy grumbling? Many of us wake up each day with a heavy heart, wondering if things will ever change for the better. We look at the walls in our lives, the debt that won't budge, the relationship that stays cold, the health report that hasn't improved, and we feel stuck. We feel like, man, nothing's going to ever get better. This is who I am. This is what I've got to live with. This is how I got to deal with it. Just poor, pitiful me, right? Any of us ever wake up like that? Any of us ever wake up like that day after day after day? What's God asking you to change in your life that you're not willing to change? Be honest. Stop and think for a moment. What's God asking you to do different that you're not willing to do different? If God's asking something of you to change and you're not willing to change it, then what right do you have to grumble? We assume that because the wall is still standing for that thing we're grumbling about, that God must be silent in our life. We assume that because we're unwilling to change and we're unwilling to do anything, that God's just being silent. And that's not the case. I said it a couple of weeks ago, I know on a Wednesday night, but if this is as close as you'll let God get, that's as close as you're going to get to God. But if you take that barrier down, God can be closer because you allow it. Because you allow him to be closer in your life. Because you allow him to be a part of your life. But if you're looking at your circumstances and you're saying, oh, this is what I got and this is how it is and poor pitiful me and nobody loves me. Okay, Eeyore. Don't blame that on God. Don't blame your mindset that God just is silent, God's not there, God doesn't love me. Don't blame that on him. Start looking at yourself. Start looking at what he's asking of you. Maybe just start talking to him. Hey, God, why is this in my life right now? What do we need to do to change it? God, what are you asking of me to make this situation, this circumstance better? Just like the Israelites faced years of waiting and disappointment. They just told you their journey should have took them 14 days. If we took off right now and we walked the path, 14 days, we would be from Egypt to the promised land. It took them 40 years. And most of it was due to their grumbling, their sin, their lack of faith, their lack of willingness to be obedient to a God who had delivered them from slavery, from bondage, from chaos. But here's something I think. I think that many of us have lived in chaos for so long that when we get a taste of peace, we freak out. When we get a taste of something that's good, I don't like that. Because we've allowed ourselves to get so used to the things that aren't good. And we've allowed the things that aren't good to mold and shape who we are. But we're unwilling to change because we're not certain how the world will feel about who God created us to be. And I think there's a lot of people that live a lifestyle, that have habits, that make choices that are not of God. And all of a sudden they come into the presence of God and they see and they feel and they know that it's good. But the first thing they think about, what's my wife going to think when I submit my life to Jesus? What are my friends going to think about me when I'm like, hey, that ain't for me no more? What are my children going to think when they're like, man, Dad's different? Like, he loves me different. What are the people at the bar going to think when I don't show up? What are the people at work going to think when I don't talk like that no more? So instead of realizing and recognizing what is good and what they've tasted of Jesus, they let the opinions of the world around them pull them away. They let others become little g gods in their lives, others' opinions really. And they're unwilling to fully submit to God. But then because they've tasted, they've seen, they've known the goodness of God. But they've also tasted and seen and known the bitterness of the world. They live in this continuous, chaotic moment that doesn't allow for freedom. It's a spin cycle. It's just spinning out of control. When the reality, the simplicity of it is to say, I'm stepping out of that. I'm standing with you, God. Stepping out of that. If they don't like me, it's okay. If they make fun of me, it's okay. If they don't accept the new me in Jesus, it's okay. I'm going to minister to them anyway. I'm going to love them anyway because you know why? Jesus loved me anyway. Jesus thought about me on that cross. He thought about you on that cross. And all he wants is for us to submit to him and walk with him and tell others about him. So just like the Israelites, we often find ourselves wondering if God's promises will ever come to fruition. But today we're looking at Hebrews 11:30 to understand how faith transforms our waiting into a victory. My first point this morning is the weight of the wilderness. And I'm not going to read all this, but this comes from Exodus chapters 15 through 17. So before we get to the victory at Jericho, we have to look at the man, Joshua, and the people that he led. In Exodus 15 through 17, we see a pattern. God provides, the people complain. God provides, and the people complain. Is this true for any of us? God provides, God makes a way, and we don't like it. Because it's not what we dreamt about. It's not what we envisioned in our minds. It's not what we wrote out in a plan. God provides. The people complain. Here's a couple of examples. They have bitter water, and they grumble about it. You got water in the desert. It's not sweet enough. What's God do for them? Makes the water sweet. They had water in the desert, and they're complaining about it. Listen, I would probably be one of those. You know why? I don't like to drink water. If I'm going to drink water, you know what it's going to get? Some little flavoring in it. Most of the time it's great. It's like these people. God gives me water. Listen, there are multiple places in my house I can go and I can go. I got water. It's clean. It's clear. Whether it's really healthy or not, we're not going to get into that. But I got water. I got running water. I can go to one of my 3 bathrooms. I can go to my kitchen. I can go to my refrigerator and I can pull out a pitcher that auto-fills, or I can push a button. Like, I got water, but I don't like it. They had water in the desert, and they didn't like it. I don't even live in the desert. I got green grass all around my house. It grows naturally. If I go off over the hill, there's a creek. If I go off over the other hill in the other direction, there's a creek. If I cross the field this way, there's a river. I got water all around me. Well, I don't like it. They're in the desert. Listen, that creek would have been great in the desert, right? But it wasn't good enough. What else? What's another example? They have no bread. I mean, what all did God provide for them to eat? Manna, quail, right? This is like a good friend of mine going to Texas Roadhouse. I ain't got no rolls. He won't even look at me today. But like, these things fall. Oh, he's got his ears in. These things fall from the sky. They have exactly what they need. I ain't got no bread, God. Like, what do you want? I mean, I get it. You know, it probably wasn't like breaded fried quail. You know, that's the best way to eat quail, in my opinion. But you got food in the desert. You got a house to live in, right? You got clothes on your back. You got shoes on your feet. You got some kind of vehicle that got you here. Most of us have a job. Most of us have at least a little bit of money. May not have as much as you think you want or you deserve, maybe. I don't know. If you get sick, what you got? You got a doctor you can go to. They can write a prescription and you can go to a pharmacist and get medicine. Or they can give you a shot. Right? Everybody in here got somebody that loves them. Everybody in here got somebody that if you need a hug, they'll give you a hug. Huh? Everybody? If you're in here and you need a hug and nobody else will give you a hug, come on. Right now. I'll give you a hug. What else do you need? We're spoiled. Oh, it's mama's and daddy's fault. It's grandma and grandpa's fault. Huh? It's not our fault, is it? Is it our fault we're spoiled? Oh, it is. So we're not willing to accept what God provides and it be enough. We're just like them. We're just like them. How many of you guys, be honest, how many of you guys have read about the people in Exodus? How many of you honestly had the thought, how could they complain so much? Yeah? What? Oh, but you know what? I saw a whole bunch of this going on a minute ago. Yep. Mm-hmm. You just like them. This was how many years ago? I said last week about 3,500, right? It ain't really that long ago. I mean, it is, but it ain't. What does God want? He wants us. He wants all of us fully submitted to him. And he just wants us to be like, God, thank you. But how many times do we say, God, thank you? Hey, God, I see it. I got that house, I got that car, I got that job, I got those clothes, I got that food, I got those kids, I got that family. I got everything that you've made a way for. But can I have this too? God, I got that guitar collection, but I want that other one. God, I got that gun collection, but I want this one too. I'm going to use that example. God, I got these purses, but that one over there that costs $2.99, I want it. Because the letters got flipped 12 degrees at a different angle. It's the same color. It's still ugly. But I want it. God, I got this closet full of clothes. But this year, we're going to throw it back to 1993. Because we left 1988 yesterday. Thank you, Hollywood. Thank you, stupid TV that I spend so much time watching. Listen, Kara tell you, I do not put my clothes away. They get folded and put in a basket in the closet. And we got this big walk-in closet with like this big wraparound system, right? Because once you put your clothes away, nope. You know what the majority of it is? T-shirts. Plain T-shirts. But if I get this wild idea, you know what? I want this Henley. That's what I'm going to buy. Man, like 12 Henleys. I'm going to do it. I'm going to get on Amazon. I'm going to be like, big size. They got it. Here they come. And you know what's going to happen? That pile's going to get bigger. What was wrong with my plain T-shirts? I mean, some of them are shrunk. Some of them's got holes in them. Some of them's got grease stains, food stains. I don't know what kind of stains. Like, they still do the same thing. Kara's asked me before, how many guitars can you play at one time? How many guns can you shoot at one time? I got 2 hands. I will figure something out. Yeah, you got more than 2 of those, though. You're right, but this one's, it's different. God blesses us with so many things, and it's never enough. It's never enough. God gives you people in your life that love you. And sometimes in love, they correct you. Sometimes in life, they say, hey, get back over here. And we get mad, and we go find new friends. What kind of friend are we? God places us around people and says, hey, show them my love. And if we pray for our meal at lunch and they say something, God, get me out of here. Do we realize that our selfish feelings just ask God to remove us from a place that he put us? And he put us there so that, one, we could grow. Two, so that we could depend on him to have the faith and the courage and the knowledge and the wisdom to do the things that he's asking. And we're asking for a way out. And we never know if there's going to be another opportunity for those people. Because we didn't think it was good enough. Maybe God's got you wearing plain t-shirts because those plain t-shirts are going to get you in front of people who are plain t-shirt people. Maybe God's got you using a backpack instead of a fancy purse because you just need to be in front of backpack people. Maybe God's got you right where you're at because that's where he needs you at. Maybe God's provided what you have because that's what he knows you need. And he knows if you're that selfish, spoiled person, that other thing is going to distract you from him. Well, we live in a right now society. Oh, I want it, and I want it right now. Maybe you don't have the extra money to get the thing or go to the place or to do whatever because God knows next week that car is going to blow up. It's going to break down. But because we grumble and we complain and we will not accept what we have right now in the right here, we go on and we do anyway, which is disobedience sometimes, right? But then when things fall apart, when that engine blows up or that tire blows out or that transmission fails in that vehicle and we don't have the money anymore to buy the groceries, to pay the electric bill, because we were grumbling about what God already provided. And we did anyway. Right? We see it over and over and over with these people, but we see it over and over and over in our own lives. Joshua watched an entire generation die in the wilderness. Hear that. He watched an entire generation die in the wilderness. Why? Because their grumbling was louder than their grace. Think about that for a moment. Joshua watched an entire generation pass away because their grumbling was louder than their grace. What are we missing out on? What are we killing ourselves with through our grumbling? This simple observation reveals how our complaints can cloud our vision and hinder our faith. When we grumble, we're essentially saying this: God, I don't think you're enough. When we're grumbling about the things that God has blessed us with, God has given us in this life, we're essentially looking at God face to face and saying, God, I don't think you're enough. How can we be so bold? How can we do that? Joshua had to learn that the biggest wall isn't made of stone, but the biggest wall is made of a hardened, complaining heart. Open your Bibles to Deuteronomy 31. Deuteronomy 31, verses 7 and 8, the command to courage. Then Moses summoned Joshua and said to him in the sight of all Israel, be strong and courageous, for you shall go with this people into the land that the Lord has sworn to their fathers to give them. And you shall put them in possession of it. It is the Lord who goes before you. He will be with you. He will not leave you or forsake you. Do not fear or be dismayed. As the leadership passes from Moses to Joshua, God gives a specific charge. Be strong and courageous. Why? Because Joshua was about to face walls that he couldn't climb and giants that he couldn't kill. Listen, guys, God knows when he places us in a situation what we're going to face. And he knows that alone we can't do it. We can't do it. He knows we can't do it without him. He knows we can't do it without others there helping and supporting. God knows these things. You know, everybody wants to say, God will never give you more than you can handle. He will. And he will place you right there in the middle of that storm and say, lean on me. Trust me. Let me make a way. I've got you here. But come on, kid. Yeah? Has that only been true in my life? God's always giving you everything you can handle on your own? I can't wait for you to hit a storm. I can't wait to see the growth that happens when you hit that storm. So you're like, yeah, you just said I can't wait. Yeah, I did. Because if God's always only ever giving you exactly what you can handle without him, do you know God? I can't wait for you to meet him. I can't wait for you to lean into him. I can't wait for you to realize you're not God. I'm excited for that season and that growth. So yeah, I can't wait for you to finally get in a place where you're like, you know what, I cannot do it on my own, God. Because on the other side of that, you're going to be so much better, so much stronger, so much bigger. You're going to be so much. Because you realize that ain't me no more. It's God. Listen, guys, faith isn't the absence of a wall. It's the presence of God in the shadow of that wall. Faith isn't the absence of a wall. It's the presence of God in the shadow of that wall. God tells Joshua, it is the Lord who goes before you. Joshua's faith wasn't built on his own military strategy. It was built on the character of the one walking in front of him. Joshua, you read about Joshua. And Joshua spends time in prayer before he goes to battles, before he does things that that he knows God's asked him to do. There's even a time that God looks at Joshua and he's like, hey man, time to get up and stop praying and go, because that's what I told you to do. How many of us, no, God, I'm going to stay right here and I'm going to pray. I'm going to stay right here. That battle can wait till tomorrow. No, child, get up and go. So you're like, what? God told him to stop praying. He said it's time to get up and go. And Joshua wanted to keep on praying. You think Joshua had a little bit of fear? I think he did. I do. Why do you think he wanted to stay right there? Because he was comfortable right there. How many of us want to stay right where we're at today because we're comfortable where we're at? You want to stay in that job you got? You want your family dynamic to be exactly like it is? You're okay driving the car you got? You're cool with the clothes you got? You're cool with the purses, the gun collection, the guitar collection, right? Those are going to be my 3 things to pick on all day now. Well, you're cool with it. You just want to stay right here. You don't ever want it to get any better. Is there anybody that would raise their hand right now and say, Adam, I like my life. I don't want it to get any better? I didn't think so. So is God looking at you? Is God speaking to you and he's saying, hey, child, it's time to get up and go? Okay, maybe he's not right now. Has he? Has he said, kid, child, son, daughter, it's time to get up? Have you been obedient? Have you got up? Are you nope. Staying right here. I know it right here. It feels good right here. It's comfortable right here. I got everything I really need right here. Listen, if God has spoke to you and said, child, it's time to get up, and you didn't move, you're being disobedient. You're not being submissive. You're not walking in his will. Because listen, no matter how big that battle is, no matter how crazy that storm is that you're about to walk into, if God says it's time to get up, you're ready. You know why? Because God's walking first. And if he's walking first, what do you got to fear? The unknown? Listen, all you need to know is that God's right there. You need to know that God's right there in front of you. He's also beside you. He's also behind you. He's also on the other side of you. He's above you. He's below you. What I'm saying is you're surrounded. So if God has spoke to you and said, child, get up, let's go, it's time to move. But here's the best advice I can give to you. When God says, child, get up, let's go, don't wait. Because that means God's moving. And that means God's going. If you're right here and God's over here, there's a lot of space right there. There's a lot of space for the enemy to get between you guys. There's a lot of space for a lot of things to happen. I'm going to give you guys an example. This distance, about 10 feet, right? Give or take. So my podium to here. Talking battle, right? We're talking fights, right? If it's a knife man versus a gun man, chances are he's winning. You don't want that gap between you and God to get too big, because that ain't that far. Trying to give you guys a real world example here for a moment. From here to those drums, if somebody's got a knife and I got a gun, chances are they win with a knife. And some of you are like, that's crazy. You think the enemy's not going to use everything he can? When God says it's time to get up, it's time to get up and go. There is no waiting. And if we're not prepared for battle, we're not prepared, we're not ready to go and fight and do what he's called us to do, we weren't listening, because he already told us before to prepare. And we aren't ready, and it's our own fault because we weren't spending time in prayer, spending time in study, spending time in worship, spending time with God to get ready. So when God says, child, get up, let's go, if we're not ready, it's our own fault. It's not his. So we can't point the finger, and we can't blame anyone else. All we can do is get the mirror out, check our mascara, and look at the reflection to know whose fault it is. Yeah? Hebrews 11:30. We're getting into the good part of the story. Hebrews 11:30. In the hall of faith. By faith, the walls of Jericho fell down after they had been encircled for 7 days. By faith, the walls of Jericho fell down after they had been encircled for 7 days. Now we reach the climax. We reach the high point of the story. By faith, the walls of Jericho fell down after they had been encircled for 7 days. Why is this powerful? This astonishing moment shows how relentless faith can bring down the barriers in our lives. Think about how foolish the soldiers must have felt. They didn't use battering rams. They used their feet and their voices. They've made it to Jericho. God says, this is your place. You can have it. But they've built walls that you can't penetrate, that you can't climb. They've got an army on the inside. They've got guards to keep people out. Why do we build walls? Why do we put fences around our houses? To keep people away, right? Cities used to build walls. Why? To keep people out. Because this is mine. You're not coming to take it. If you come to take it, you're going to have to work for it. Right? People know, man, we can't penetrate that. What are we going to do? God says, march around it for 7 days. And imagine this for a moment. They're quietly marching around the city. Just walking around. Just waiting. And when God says move, what do? They blast trumpets, they yell, they scream. And what happens? They didn't fire the first shot. They didn't draw the first sword. They did what God said do. And what happened? The walls came down. And they got to go. They get to have what was theirs, what was promised to them. Why? Because they were obedient to God. Because they did what God asked them to do. Listen, sometimes God's going to ask you to do something that everybody else thinks is crazy. What's your promise on the other side of that something? It's worth it. The bottom line, when faith circles our walls, they come tumbling down. Faith for Joshua meant doing the boring thing, walking in circles, because he trusted the big thing, God's word. On day 3, guess what? The wall was still there. On day 6, guess what? The wall was still there. Faith is the persistence to keep circling when the wall hasn't moved. Faith is the persistence to keep circling when the wall hasn't moved. Brings us to our last point. Boldness to stop the sun. Go to Joshua 10. Joshua chapter 10, verses 12 through 14. At that time, Joshua spoke to the Lord in the day when the Lord gave the Amorites over to the son of Israel. And he said in the sight of Israel, "Sun, stand still at Gibeon, and moon in the valley of Ajalon." And the sun stood still, and the moon stopped until the nation took vengeance on their enemies. Is it not written in the book of Jashar? The sun stops in the midst of heaven, and did not hurry to set for about a whole day. Verse 14. There has been no day like it before or since, when the Lord heeded the voice of a man. For the Lord fought for Israel. Joshua's faith grew so much that eventually he didn't just ask for walls to fall. He asked for the sun to stand still. Think about that. So think about how much his faith has grown. His faith went from, God, will you make a way? God, will you provide this? God, I need a few more people to fight. God, I need a little bit more food so that they got energy. God, I need better weapons. It went from all these little bitty prayers of faith. God, I know you can provide. I know you can do this. To God, I trust you. I believe in you so much. Will you make the sun stand still? It's a big prayer. What kind of faith you got to have to ask God to make the sun stand still, to make the day stop. I feel like you got to have a whole lot of faith to ask that. He realized that if God can drop a wall, he can pause a planet. Are you asking God for small things because you're afraid to bother him? Or are you just asking God for small things, for little bitty things, because you're afraid, you know what, this ain't really that important. And I don't want to bother God with that. Or are you praying, sun, stand still prayers? Here's the thing. I think God wants to hear from us. And I think he wants to hear those little things, but I also think God wants to hear those big things. And it's those little things, like with Joshua, that build our faith. But I believe every one of us at some point in this journey of life, we're going to have to ask God for a sun to stand still kind of prayer. We're going to have the sun stand still kind of faith. Because I think every one of us are going to be faced with something so big that we realize there's no way I can do this on my own. Here's the thing. What's little to you may be huge to somebody else. What's little to you may be huge to somebody else. They grumbled about not having bread. They grumbled about the bitterness of the water. If you're wandering around aimlessly in the desert, is it huge? See, earlier I gave you the point of view. Man, you got water in the desert. Listen, if it's nasty water, you're not going to drink it. You're going to dehydrate. You're not going to be healthy. You're not going to be strong enough to keep going through the journey. Right? So is it a matter of being spoiled? Is it something that matters to sustain life? Is it something that matters to sustain the relationship with God? I get it. You're in the desert. You got water, man. Be thankful. But if it's gross, can you stay healthy to take the journey God's given you? There's quail falling from the sky, right? You got food, you got meat. If they had flour to bread it and fry it, they could probably make bread. So I feel like, it's this fire-roasted quail, right? Well, sometimes you need just some carbohydrates, some sugar to get some energy. Yeah. Maybe what we think is a crazy you got food. I want bread. They didn't ask for chocolate pie. Maybe they wanted a quail sandwich. I don't know. But I bet to them it was a big deal. That extra guitar, that extra gun, that extra purse. I don't think it's a big deal, guys. I can worship God with that one. I can worship God with the couple that are in the closet. I can go on my journey with the backpack or the purse that I've got. Right? I can fight the battle with the weapons I have. What kind of prayers are you praying? Are they for the small things? Or are you asking God to make the sun stand still? You got to pray them both. Just as the Israelites had to trust God's timing, what areas in your life require patience and trust before you see breakthrough? Just as the Israelites had to trust God's timing, what areas in your life require patience and trust before you can see breakthrough? Take a moment, reflect on that. What are areas in your life that require patience from you, that require trust in God before you can see something change? We've all got those areas. As I've said, for some of us, it's something little. But for some of us, that sun's going to have to stand still. It's your challenge this week. We're going to call it the 15-minute circle. This week, I want to challenge you to spend 15 minutes each day reflecting on one wall or barrier in your life that you need to surrender to God in prayer. This week, spend 15 minutes each day. Adam, I ain't got 15 minutes. Don't lie to me again. And in that 15 minutes, reflect on one wall or barrier in your life that you need to surrender to God in prayer. Don't grumble about the wall. Circle it in prayer. Then, this is a two-part challenge. Then, reach out to a friend or family member and share one area where you plan to trust God this week, asking them to support you in prayer. You're not fighting this alone. I'm not asking you to do it by yourself. The first thing you got to do is realize and recognize on your own. You're not going to grumble and complain about it. Because what's that going to get you? Nothing. You're just going to build the wall or the barrier higher. But after you've circled that in prayer, reach out to someone, a friend, a family member, and say, hey, this is a barrier in my life that I'm praying for God to tear down, and I want you to pray with me. I want you to agree with me in prayer. Did it say that Joshua was the only one who circled the walls? No. They all did. You know what? If you need to call 5 people and say, hey, this is a big wall, and I'm asking God to tear it down, and I need you to pray with me, then call 5 people. But at least call 1. Why does this matter? When you spend just 15 minutes in prayer daily, you create space for peace to enter your heart. If you'll commit and you will spend that 15 minutes each day in prayer, you're going to create space for peace to enter your heart. Guys, this isn't just church talk. This ain't the church answer. This ain't the Sunday school answer, the Wednesday night answer. This helps you approach challenges at work with a clearer mind and a more hopeful spirit. This helps you to approach challenges in your marriage with a clear mind. This helps you approach challenges with your family, with your children, with a clear mind. This is you surrendering and saying, God, I can't fix it. Show me the way. And when you're willing to do that, when you're willing to surrender those things to God, you're going to create space that provides peace. And suddenly, you're going to be able to think about it a different way. You know why you're going to be able to think about it differently? Because you stopped thinking about it on your own. And you started letting God do the thinking. By doing this, you stop reacting to the wall. And you start responding to the architect. You stop reacting to the wall and you start responding to the architect. So what if this week was the first week, but what if this week you trusted God enough to let down those barriers, knowing that with faith, new possibilities await just beyond. Guys, I know the walls are tall, but our God is taller. Stop grumbling. Start circling. Watch the falls. Stop grumbling. Start circling. And watch the falls. Dear God, thank you. Thank you for waking us up, God. For giving us another day. Another opportunity to serve you. Another opportunity to come and worship. Another opportunity to serve others. God, today we've talked about our faith and we've talked about the barriers or the walls in our lives. We've talked about how small they are to some, but how big they are to others. God, I pray that this week, starting right now, God, I pray that we would begin to circle those walls with prayer. I pray, God, that we would recognize the barriers in our lives that are keeping us from what you've promised us. The barriers that maybe we've built or that someone else has built because we've allowed it through our grumbling. And I pray that we would just take the time, circle those things with prayer. And we would allow you, God, to remove them. That we would stop saying, I can do this on my own. And we would fully trust in you. God, be with us as we continue to worship. God, minds to hear you, to hear your voice, to hear what it is you have to say to us.